How do you help leaders take scattered insights, instincts, and ideas and translate them into something actionable?
Usually things just come up as we're coaching, right? But I mentioned before MISI, right?
Hmm.
Which is a consulting term, which means mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. That means that, you basically have a brain dump, right? You try to get all the variables out there, but you try not to have too much overlap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, that in itself is it's a really valuable way to start. So you have this whole brain dump, and then you can do different things. You can look at it in terms of a ranking system. You could look at it in terms of a gap analysis. There's many different ways to look at it. And I like to think that I'm really good at connecting dots.
Okay.
So once all this happens, a lot of coaches have told me you're able to take like these 1,000 things that are in my head and funnel it down into three different things. You're really good at connecting the dots.
Mm.
But funny enough,
Mm.
I have one client
Okay.
he's a brilliant guy, really brilliant, like intellectual genius, I would say, right? And he actually came up to me and said, "You know what? I don't think you're good at connecting the dots." And I
Ah,
was like, "Okay." And he said, "You know what I think you're good at?" He goes, "I think that you're good at having an iterative process, right? So if you have an iterative process, it means you're good at throwing things and seeing what sticks and seeing what connects." But then he's like, "Well, maybe in the end, that's how the dots get connected, right?" So there's a number of different, I wouldn't even call them tools, right?
yep.
It's just kind of like a dance of how you get to the outcome that you want, right?
Hmm.
Another thing that I love is I love reverse engineering.
Okay.
So I love taking, usually when somebody wants to accomplish something, there's somebody else that has done something similar.
Yep.
So it's like, why don't you take that example, reverse engineer it, see what they've done, and
Mm.
that, you can't copy it, of course,
Yep.
right? But you can find some clues, like success leaves clues, right?
Hmm.
So you can find some different clues and be able to piece it together. All these kind of things really help in the journey.
100%. I
Yeah.
think when people see clear steps that they can take, then
Yes.
reaching the outcome becomes that much not only easier, but I think it also brings a lot of hope to being able to get there because
Yeah,
it
of
feels more
course.
solidified or grounded in something.
And it's funny that you mentioned the word hope, right?
Mm.
Because the thing is that a lot of times when you're by yourself, you know, I wouldn't use the opposite and say hopeless, but a lot of times when you're by yourself, you can overthink things and then be overwhelmed and then have anxiety and then wonder if there's any hope for you. Hope, right? But a lot of times when you have a thinking partner, when you have a coach, when you have
Yeah.
someone to help you guide you, and things that get presented to you in a more clearer way or an easier way, you start to look at it and say, wow, you know what? Maybe, and I've had many clients say this to me, maybe all this is not as difficult as I make it seem in my head.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
We often do that as humans.
we do.